Bro, so Nicole Kidman just did her first big interview since the divorce was finalized, and one line in here hit different. She's sitting there for British Vogue, and she says the divorce from Keith Urban was harder than her divorce from Tom Cruise. Harder than Tom Cruise, bro. And then she says something even wilder, that when it happened, she felt like she was free falling, just jumping off a cliff with no idea where she'd land. But here's the thing, stay with me, because the wildest part of this story isn't even what she said. It's what insiders are now saying actually happened behind the scenes before she ever filed that paperwork. Wait for it. Okay, so quick recap for anyone just catching up. Kidman and Urban were together 19 years. Married in 2006 in Sydney, 2 daughters, Sunday Rose and Faith Margaret. On paper, this was the Hollywood marriage that survived everything. His addiction struggles early on, the distance, the fame, all of it. Nicole filed for divorce in September last year, citing irreconcilable differences. It got finalized in January, and up until this Vogue interview dropped, she had said basically nothing public about it. Nothing. So when she finally opens her mouth, people are listening close. So here's what she actually said. Quote, I had a different view of what my life was going to be. You make all these plans and you have all these ideas of what it's all going to be like, and then it's not. You have to adjust. You adapt. The future, it's completely unknown to me right now. Strange. End quote. And then she gets even more real. She admits, quote, there was a point where I was very fearful and deeply vulnerable. No cap, that's a huge admission for someone this private. This is a woman who does not do vulnerable in public, ever.
Nicole Kidman is opening up about her life post-Keith Urban divorce, and this is some tea over here at The Blast that you're not going to want to miss. So recently, Nicole Kidman sat down with British Vogue, and she said that her life has taken an unexpected turn. She said you make all these plans, and you have all these ideas about what your life is going to be, and then it's just not, and you have to adapt. She even went on to admit that her future is completely unknown to her, and how that feels strange. However, she said if anything, this is just making her want to continue to live a well-examined life. Meaning she wants to try new things, make mistakes, embrace love. She even mentioned how she wants to keep her heart open to new possibilities. So yeah, it sounds like Nicole Kidman is basically saying Keith Urban who at this point, but go ahead and let us know your thoughts. And for more, head on over to theblast.com.
And look, on its own, that's just a sad, honest interview. That's someone processing a breakup like a normal human, famous or not. But here's where it gets crazy, because multiple outlets citing people close to the situation are reporting this split was, quote, one-sided, meaning it wasn't mutual. Insiders are saying Keith was the one who ended it, and that he'd already moved out of their Nashville home into his own place before any of this became public. So when Nicole says she didn't expect this, bro, that might not just be a figure of speech. That might be literal.
Nicole Kidman is allegedly trying to play the victim in her divorce from Keith Urban, even though she was the one who was allegedly cheating for years. And now it's been reported that Keith is also dating someone new, and they've been separated since early summer. And the blind item reads, this A-list actress is trying to spin her divorce so the public sees her as a victim, but the truth is she's been cheating for years. And again, this is allegedly Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban. And the related blind items read, this country music A-lister, who also happens to be a TV talent show judge, has been seen traveling with someone new, and it's definitely not his wife. The two seem like more than just friends. This next one reads, a big announcement is on the horizon. This foreign-born chart-topping musician and his actress wife, both firmly A-list, are preparing to reveal that they're calling it quits. This next one, this Oscar and Emmy-winning actress who's married is reportedly getting a little too close with the trainer/bodyguard who follows her everywhere. And this last one, everyone assumes this A-list actress is foreign-born. She's not, but what's really interesting is that she's been spending nights with another man despite still being married. And the related headline reads, why Nicole Kidman kept Keith Urban's separation a secret from her friends.
And this is where you have to go back and look at Keith's own track record, because this isn't the first time his behavior around Nicole raised eyebrows. Remember, months before the split ever became public, Keith did a radio interview in Australia, and the hosts asked him a fairly normal, if cheeky, question about Nicole's on-screen romance with Zac Efron in her Netflix movie. Completely normal celebrity spouse question, and Keith just vanished. Call dropped. His team said it was a Zoom glitch. The host didn't buy it for a second. One of them said on air, quote, we've upset him. Now hold that thought, because rewind even further, back to 2024, before any of this divorce talk existed, and Keith stood up at Nicole's AFI Lifetime Achievement Tribute and gave this whole emotional speech about how she saved him. He talked about entering rehab just 4 months into their marriage, and he said, quote, Nick pushed through every negative voice, and she chose love. People were crying in that room, bro. That was the story everyone believed. So here's the twist. The same man who once called her staying with him through addiction love in action is now reportedly the one who walked. And on top of that, some reports claim Keith attempted a reconciliation after the fact and was, quote, devastated by how things played out from there. So you've got this timeline. A guy who publicly credited her with saving his life, then allegedly ended the marriage himself, then allegedly tried to walk that back. That's not a clean story. That's a guy who does not seem to know what he wants. No cap.
You can tell everything about a short man by his shoes. Keith Urban's insecurity in relationship to Nicole starts from the bottom. Look at his platform shoe. Even Nicole Kidman cannot escape the classic tale of the short, less successful man being jealous of the taller, more successful woman, even when she dims herself. When Keith is asked about Nicole in interviews, he gets triggered and says things like, I'm not going to talk about my wife. I know you want to get me to talk about my wife, but I'm not gonna. Because he feels like he's just there so they can ask him about Nicole because, well, he is. I've gotten heat before for suggesting that the way a man acts about his wife in an interview is very telling and is often showing a big insecurity that should be noticed, because guess what? You can't reinvent the wheel. Every time a man does speak weirdly about his wife in an interview, we wanted to reinvent the wheel with Nicole. We wanted to be like, yeah, she's just working because she's just so happy. She's working so much because she must have a happy life and a happy marriage. When really we also subconsciously felt like she's working a lot. She's working like she wants to get away from something. We all had that thought of like, are things okay at home? Because we know how fragile men's egos are. And that if she's working so much, well, that's more for him to have to deal with in her star power capacity. And apparently he can't handle that. A lot of us didn't really know that she was associated with him for a very long time because we just didn't care. We knew who Nicole Kidman was, and then eventually became aware that she had a husband. And we're aware that we think he makes country music. But it wasn't a big deal to us, and he can feel that. You know what I'm saying? And so I do really, really think that the way men talk about their famous counterparts is very telling and often shows sort of the dynamic of insecurity in the relationship. Because shouldn't he be proud of Nicole for all of the things she's accomplished? Like, she's literally one of the best movie stars of our generation, right? Especially right now, she's having a generational run. She's like working more than anyone else. And so apparently he has a girlfriend and she's devastated. And it's like, he's just tired of being in her shadow. At the same time, does it probably suck to be in her shadow as a man? Yeah, I'm sure that's hard to deal with, but that's also not her fault or her problem, right?
Now here's where it stops being just tabloid drama and starts feeling real, because there's paperwork behind all of this. Nicole was named primary residential parent for their two daughters, Sunday Rose and Faith Margaret. And when you look at the actual custody split, it is not close, bro. 306 days a year with Nicole, 59 with Keith. That is not a 50-50 co-parenting situation. That is one parent building the entire daily life for these girls, and the other parent showing up for a fraction of it. And remember, this is a guy who spent years missing chunks of the marriage anyway because of touring. So now you have to ask, is this custody split just where the numbers landed? Or is it one more piece of evidence for what people are already saying about who actually walked away here? Either way, two teenage girls are watching their parents' entire life get divided up into a legal document, while their mom is out here doing Vogue covers trying to hold it together in public. Stay with me, because it all comes back around in the end. So where does that leave us? You've got Nicole finally speaking, admitting she was scared, admitting the future is unknown, choosing her words with this insane amount of restraint for someone whose whole world just got upended. And you've got Keith, who hasn't said a word publicly through any of this. No interview, no statement, nothing. Just silence, after a history of very public gratitude and very public discomfort whenever things got personal. Whatever actually happened behind those closed doors in Nashville, one thing is pretty clear. The guy who once stood on a stage and thanked her for saving his life is now the one letting her carry this story alone. And honestly, bro, that silence might end up saying more than any interview ever could. Let me know down in the comments what you think really went down here. Anyway, this concludes today's video. Be sure to subscribe to LoafTube for future celebrity videos, and turn on that post notification bell so you don't miss out on any future uploads. Until then, see you in the next one.